Welcome everyone to Price Action Live here at TradersPost for August 1st, 2025. And yes, you heard it right. We're here on Fridays, folks. We were just here on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And you know what? It's just not enough. You know why? Because we're here, we're traders just like you, and we want to participate. Speaking of participation, our boy Mike Christensen here has gotten approved for his first payout.
Sounds like I'm graduating from high school, man. It's awesome.
I mean, you kind of are.
Round of applause for Mike. Everyone said it could not be done. We all
I never said that.
Him, and he except Trevor, and he proved us wrong. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. How does it feel, Mike, to be part of the in team now?
It feels good. I definitely feel like as I added up all the profit generated from these accounts though so far, I'm like, sure would be nice if I captured all that profit instead of, a small payout to one of these accounts. But I totally recognize what's going to happen from here as long as I stay consistent, continue to show up in the markets, expose myself to these opportunities, and not go on tilt. Obviously over trading and revenge trading and getting on tilt are definitely weaknesses of mine. So I got to avoid that, obviously. And if I can stay consistent, then it's a multiplier effect at that point. It's just payouts on multiple accounts.
All right. So what are we seeing here for the morning? What do you guys vibe? Are we shorting? Are you long?
I'm watching.
The interesting thing. Yeah, watching for a moment. I want to watch a few candles here. This is a pretty big sell-off in the electronic session that led to a fairly big gap down here. We got about a 1% gap from yesterday's close. So I want to see if buyers are going to show up here and maybe help close some of this gap, if not all of this gap, in which case, it wouldn't surprise me. We are in very bullish territory still, even with this pullback. Just looking at the daily chart, we haven't even touched support on the regression trend or even major support on the chart here, which would be around 22.6. So if we do fall further, I would expect we fall to the next VWAP support level or overall daily support line. So it does feel like it could go either way, but I'm leaning more towards the bullish side than the bearish side.
Touching on the macro things here, we have the dollar that just plummeted overnight. So we got this massive move down. I'm looking at the dollar futures, which was down 1.4%, which is significant when you're dealing with currencies. If we take a look at what's going on with gold, we had the inverse relationship that's happening there, where gold spiked up. We are up on this candle now, 1.48%. So that correlation is holding there. And when you have dollar down, gold up, that is a inflation regime, which usually means that equities can follow as well. The way that we confirm that is that we take a look at bonds. And if we take a look at bonds, we can see that the yields have fallen. So we have short-dated yields all the way to long-dated yields. All of them have fallen. So this is a setup potentially for a bullish market. What I would love to see is for the Nasdaq to hit 2,300. That would be for me the safest move. I'll show you here.
We'll see in 10 seconds.
Yeah, if we hit over here, that would be for me the support, the nearest support. Because the next level after that is at 22.8, and if we're dealing with that, well, now we're in bearish territory. So we'll see. We'll see if there's news. We'll see what happens. That's where I would be considering to take a long if I was trading the Nasdaq.
Casual 800-point move from yesterday's open. So you're saying long. I mean, yesterday you were saying short, and we were kind of like not believing you, and that was the huge move. So you're saying long here, potentially.
Yeah, because it has to confirm the level. What makes me believe it is the dollar down and gold up. Once that correlation holds, and it's so like it was such a perfect move, that means it's institutional money that's rotating across all the different assets. That's how you know that it's one of the ways that you know that the commercials are making that move. I was lamenting the other day that we don't have the commitment of traders report anymore in TradingView. I don't know, Mike, if you used that before. I used to have indicators built on that, and then the data became no longer available. But it was so useful to see, you know, end of month, how the commercials, how the institutions were positioned versus the non-commercials.
Yep.
It was like just a direct peek into the structure of the market, and I never had to guess. I always knew what side of the boat to be on. I don't have that anymore.
That's why you got to use the tilt on the top step.
Oh, what's that?
It's their built-in. It's all the traders on Top Step X, the percentage of them that are long or short on ES, NQ, oil, and gold. So right now it's 41% long, 59% short on NQ. So it's slightly more short, but it looks like it's it looks like it's starting to swing bullish right now. ES just flipped bullish.
I'm kind of curious where Jason Meshnick's Fear Greed Index is. So we're still at the greed side of things on overall market breadth on the stock side of things. It's a fantastic indicator that covers a lot of aspects of the overall market. I mean, especially as a short seller here, you know, you guys know me. I like to be on the short side. I love the panic of it. I love the pullback of it. I'm already up a couple $100 here so far on this trade. I took one small entry so far.
Nice.
But when I see big red candles like this on the daily chart, these are decent pullbacks that can sometimes continue. And if we end this regime here and break off of 22.6, you know, we're going to see a much bigger pullback from here.
Yeah, you're right.
What's Amazon doing? Amazon's not dying. Not great earnings last night.
Tom, do you want to put my live P&L up on? I think I have the camera shared there. There we go. Numbers moving.
There we go.
So we're under 2,300 on NQ now.
Yeah.
23,000.
23,000, sorry. Freudian slip. Feels like 2,300 sometimes.
That was the S&P 500 a long time ago.
Yeah. Or gold.
No. Right.
My dollar trend indicator switched to neutral, so now there's no direction that it's pointing to. So it's very hard for me to trade in any direction until that resolves. So we'll see.
This year, 23,000 pounds, Tom?
Yeah, well, we're going to get some sort of reaction over there unless there's news. So the size of this wick will let us know.
Oof.
That's over here at 2,300. We're wicking right at that level.
All right, so we'll manage this into a potential small loss. I don't want to take more than a couple $100 on the small accounts, a little bit more on the larger accounts. As you guys know, I do scale my size differently per account. If it's a 150K account, I'm going to be taking 3 times the size on the micros. And on the smaller 100K accounts, I usually just trade 2 at a time. There are some Apex accounts that I'll trade 3 at a time on. It just depends on where they're at in their cycle, you know, how far I am on them. I'm trying to get a little bit more aggressive on the Apex accounts because I still need to pass those evals.
So remember yesterday we were talking about the dollar hitting up to that zone, the trend zone. Now we have that pullback that happened right at that level. Because of the sharpness of it, this is what makes me super bullish.
Okay, I think I'm going to add to this here. And let's see if we can get a decent pullback from here. We're still below VWAP. Still obviously a bearish direction from the open. if anybody's defining orb at this point, which is always, you know, everyone's favorite way to look at the charts, then I'm still inside the orb, but I just added to my position at VWAP here, expecting a breakdown. So my trade really starts to pay off if everyone else starts to sell at the bottom of orb here, which is kind of what I'm expecting.
If anyone's wondering about Bitcoin, my explanation for Bitcoin here, for Bitcoin futures, is that we could head down to the 113 level. We're in the deciding factor over here. So we could head down to 113. That would be my downside estimation. But I would not be surprised for a complete reversal of this back up to 119 today. So to me, there's like no trade for me to take right now. I find it so difficult. I'm trying to recalibrate my thinking the way that you guys do for the short-term move, and I just can't get the long-term thing out.
Like, I literally have to forget like I know any of that stuff. I'm like, I don't know. My price goes down, I go short. I think that's actually what attracted me to technical analysis early in 2016, 2017 when I started studying it. Because prior to that, my background and all of my education was all in corporate finance, valuation, fundamentals. I didn't even look at charts. And I thought, you know, you and I have talked about this, Tom. I thought that technical analysis was astrology for men. And never really had much love for it until I started down the CMT path. Worked towards a chartered market technician designation, started to understand how the pros actually use technical analysis. I've now completed the CFOA program for futures and options analysis, and I'm definitely a big believer in the skill there. But I think the thing that really attracted me to it initially was this idea of just forgetting about what's happening on the fundamentals, forget about the economics, forget about the macro data. What is price telling you right now? And that's actually pretty attractive to see, because none of that forecasting stuff matters. You don't have to have a crystal ball to make money. Well, I'm feeling pretty good about this trade so far. Up 450 on the smaller accounts, up 1,300 on the larger accounts. This is pretty much where I expect the rest of retail to start selling. I would expect they see this as orb, and if we break down from here, I'll take a little more profit off the table. Otherwise, I need to start preparing for an exit here and just call it a small day for Friday.
Yeah, I would have one tight ass stop on that, because
I think I'm probably going to put it right at this candle right here. All right, look at that. That's fantastic.
That's beautiful.
600 on the small account, 1,700 on the largers.
All right, so Mike,
yes, sir.
We're gonna have to interview you for your own Trading Bot Sessions episode. You're gonna be on the other side of the receiving end.
Sounds good.
We're never gonna have the opportunity to speak to, or rarely gonna have the opportunity to speak to someone who had got their first payout right at the moment, right around the time they got their first payout. So you'll humor me. Give me a session, and I'll interview on that.
Tom, I have an idea. We should use either some studio magic or some AI stuff to have me interviewing me.
I'll AI myself, and I'll be my expert.
That's awesome.
All right, I'm taking here, guys. I need to stay under a specific number in order to not exceed my my all-time high or my best day high. So I'm going to go ahead and take here. That was an excellent day on the bigger accounts. 1,800 across multiple Tradeify accounts, 150 accounts, Take Profit Trader accounts, 600 on the smaller accounts, 900 on the Apex accounts. That's a good day. I am not going to mess around further than that. This is a morning where I get really excited because I'm done. I traded for 13 minutes and I'm out of here, and that's my entire day.
Nice work.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So you're out of the trade. Let me just ask you this, because we're talking about this beforehand. So, to me, like, this is where I would enter a trade.
Right.
And you're like done for the day. So like, and obviously your way worked, but then I just want to analyze the trade from yesterday. So the trend continued afterwards. There was all these other opportunities for NASDAQ to fall. When you look back on that, like, would you? So you trade journal the idea. Do you in the future? Would you like continue with that short and look for more ways and not bounce out, or just be like happy with the first part of the move and be done with it?
I think what's bothering me right now is that on my TradersPost dashboard, I've got all these Apex accounts that are well into profit, but I need to pass the evals on them. So like, great, I'm up 920 or almost $1,000 on each of these Apex accounts, but I'm still off the mark, by 20 or 40% in many of these cases. I guess most of them are close to 105. So I'm pretty close to goal on a lot of these, but I still need to get there. So I do have another strategy in here called my Apex account strategy. Maybe we enable this and I try to take one more trade just on the Apex accounts, because at this point I just need to pass the eval, and then I can get to the next stage on those.
You were talking about that, like the idea, and even in the interview with Ike, which is going to come out soon, this idea of there's no point in nursing an eval account for a month.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of like there's no point. Like just get them traded, and if the idea like if they get blown out, that cost is fine. Like it's okay to do that, or
I mean the nice thing about Apex accounts is they are cheaper than pretty much any other prop firm out there. Most of the time I've been buying them at 80 or 90% off. So most of these accounts are far cheaper for me. But I don't want to go crazy either. This is kind of the discipline of prop firm trading, is that I'm still kind of a believer that I trade the same way in my evals that I would in a funded account, because I want to stay consistent with my approach and I want to make sure that I'm staying consistent with risk management. Tom, you and I have discussed that many of these firms seem to be finding ways to get rid of that type of behavior. The YOLO types of trades, the just throwing random trades around, or stacking up, going full port on NQ in random times. I think consistency is still the name of the game. But that said, I'm definitely, I'm calling it quits in these accounts where calling it quits is probably a bad idea. If I feel like there's another trade available to me, I got to keep going on these Apex accounts until I can get over the line on those. And man, we're really close. Let's see. I have another script I run in the background to do the math on all these.
Like I keep thinking of a farmer and their land. You have some land that's in fallow, some land that they're doing a normal harvesting, and then other ones that they might be experimenting with a different type of crop or what have you. So is the idea here that let's see here, that you have the coffee trading that's going that's happening, but on 5 accounts you let that do a little bit more aggressive trading than on other ones?
Or maybe all of them, honestly. I feel like I'm so close on these. I just need to find a couple more trades. So I'll call it on the larger accounts because of the consistency rules. That's really kind of the limiting factor here, is that on these Apex evals, there's no consistency rule. You can pass in a short period of time. I think it's 5 or 7 days. And there's no consistency rule. Once you get to a funded account, now the rules have changed. Okay, so now I need to trade more like I do on the Tradeify or Take Profit Trader accounts, anywhere, or Top Step accounts where I have a consistency rule. But the Apex accounts, it's like the rules seem to present themselves in a way where it feels like you really need to keep going for those opportunities so you can get these accounts funded. So I am looking at my chart here. Most of my accounts are roughly between 60 and 70% of the way, or 60 and 99% of the way. There's a handful of accounts here that are almost at the target on my on the Apex accounts. Let me pull up I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me move the net liquidity column over on our share here. So if I move it right here, you can see. Do you guys see that now?
I see the dollar open net liquidity.
There should be a net liquidity number. Is that not visible?
It's half.
It's half visible. Okay, hold on a sec.
If you can move to the right a bit.
Yeah, let me just move it slightly over. Is that better?
A little bit better. Can you move it a little bit more? Perfect.
Okay. So if I just arrange these by their balance, you can see this one's off by $50. I'll make the target in $50. $60, 100, 120, 130, and so on and so forth. So many of these accounts are really, really close to the finish line. Shall we pass a few more?
Do it.
Yeah. Well, we're getting the sell off on Bitcoin. We get the sell off on NASDAQ. That's great. We got to bounce it because we got to bounce in the dollar here. So,
right.
That's pretty interesting.
Well, I'd say just to keep this a little more entertaining, then I'm still expecting that buyers start to step in here. So I think we should wait for the reversal, and then I'll get ready to put a long on in these Apex accounts. So
yeah,
what we'll do is
8. Where are you thinking about getting in?
Say again.
Where would you be thinking about going long from a price?
Well, I'm going to use the regression tool for that. So let me make this a little bit larger. We're going to look for a couple of bullish candles to print here. And I want to see us break out of this regression trend and start to form a new trend. So it'll take 4 to 5 candles for that to really form. And then I'll feel comfortable going long at that point. We have some distance between here and VWAP. So if there is any kind of bullish move, it could still be very short, retest VWAP, and then break down from there, just like it did yesterday. It did this, twice yesterday, where we came down a little bit, we retested VWAP, we pulled back, we came back up, retested VWAP again, and then had an even bigger short after that. So if I'm bullish, I'm going to be bullish for a short period of time. But we are about ready to hit on the 2-hour chart what I would consider S2, which is at 22,824. Okay. And if we pull back a little bit more, that could serve as support where buyers start to step in. So we'll just have to watch this for a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to set up my lines for just the Apex accounts.
I always find this part so fascinating. Like if I were to switch to my chart, like the way that I go through here. So if we take a look at the trades from over the last 24 hours or so, we have the price falls from VWAP levels to VWAP levels, right? So we have this weekly VWAP that hit the target yesterday, the 23.5-ish area. Then it bounces down to a daily, moves back up to retest, comes down to the 3-month VWAP level, another weekly. Like it just goes from VWAP to VWAP to VWAP. So right now, as we cross down the daily level here that was unmitigated, the next level down here is 22,772. And that would be for me, like I would be setting buy orders at those levels. Like if I come down at the VWAP, any of these levels from the top, I already have buy orders there ready to take, and with like a bracket order. But you're using the linear regression trend in order to get a sense of where to get in, because you're waiting for the price action to tell you. And
correct.
It's such a different, it feels like we're playing different ways the same sport. Like I feel like I'm goalie and you're offense. Because you're like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm looking where the puck is going, and I'm adjusting there, and I just go, nope. When that ball comes to the net, that's where I'm going to be. I'm blocking it or letting it through.
And you're also playing the longer game. It would be like if I got on the soccer field and I was like, all right, all I'm doing is I'm going to come out here and I'm just going to kick the ball one time. And you're like, really? We need you for the whole game, bro. What are you doing?
On NQ, I had this written down as the previous all-time high. This was like we bounced off of this area a couple.
Oh, that's an interesting observation. Yeah. So you're talking about
this was like the all-time high that we broke out of, and then
right. And it was a really good break. You're right. There was some really good bullish breakout here that gave us almost a 200-point move. And so just looking at this on the longer term trend here from June 29th, I say longer term, a month ago, we are now pulling back to see if we can find support here. And that's why I'm saying this could be the bullish reversal in the intraday. That process of finding support and resistance on the higher timeframes has been one of the key ways to look at technical analysis for me. Yes, charts are fractal. Yes, patterns can be fractal, but more liquidity shows up on higher timeframes for specific reasons than I think on the shorter timeframes. I really don't think a bunch of traders are showing up just because support and resistance occurred on the 1-second chart, right? So the real support and resistance is from the higher time frames, and that's my guiding principle here, is to use these alert lines to tell me where is support on the higher time frames, because that's where I'm going to start to build my position on the shorter time frames.
Do you guys ever been in a situation where you're like, okay, the price moved in a way that you didn't expect in some area? It didn't match
every day. Yes, I have it printed on a t-shirt.
So then do you go, okay, I got to find an indicator that would have surfaced what happened in this location where I don't understand where the price moved? Do you guys do that? Or it's like, well, no, I'm still using indicators I'm normally used to, and I'm only going to respond to price when it moves at those locations?
Maybe I don't understand the question.
So let's say I'm looking at VWAP levels for the price to go down. You're looking at the linear regression trend. But let's say the price moved in a way you didn't expect, right? The price bounced somewhere you didn't expect. Do you then go back and go, I got to find out, was there a high here? Is there some other indicator that I could have put it on the chart and it would have told me that this is where the price should move? Like, do you go hunt for indicators, or you just go like, no, wherever the price responds to on the tools that I use, that's just what I'm going to be using? And
I probably did at one point. Used all kinds of indicators, had all kinds of stuff layered on. But as time went on, and you and I have discussed this, VWAP is the only thing that really mattered to me at the end of the day. VWAP and weekly VWAP, those two are really important to me. I do have additional VWAP lines on the chart, which are anchored VWAPs from pivot points on the higher time frame. And then support and resistance on the higher time frames. Other than that, I don't really need any other indicators other than using regression trend on the shorter time frame to help me understand whether or not we're in a strong trend or not. Because the one nice thing about the regression trend tool is that it can help you find chop, and it can help you find whether you're just going sideways. And visually, you could probably identify this too, sure, just by looking at it. But I really like using this tool and relying on the Pearson's R-score to tell me how strong this trend is. So as we kind of guessed here, there might be a bullish trend that starts to tick up. And right off the bat, we're 4 candles into a range here that's starting to look exciting to me, right? Maybe this is that bullish trade that we need for the Apex accounts to continue until we hit VWAP. So I don't hunt for new indicators to tell me a different part of the story. I try to rely on the same indicators to make sure that I'm just looking at markets consistently, especially on an intraday basis, because anything can happen intraday. We've seen all kinds of random plots, random price prints. And when those happen, I'm out. I'm only looking for trends. I want nice, clean signals like we just saw here from the open on the downside.
Right. Okay.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Let's go ahead and place this buy candle right above the previous two that pulled back. And I'm going to only go long 2 M and Q. And let's see if we can push to VWAP, test it, make a few dollars, get across the finish line on at least 5 or 6 of these Apex accounts.
What's your VWAP number at there?
Say that again, Tom.
You're aiming for 22.9. What's the VWAP over there?
I guess if I got in here, I'd be aiming for 22.959 or so.
959, okay.
And interesting. Okay, so as I start to pull the regression trend forward, what it starts to show me right away is that this uptrend is weakening very quickly, right? We went from 0.99 to 0.97 to now 0.6. And it's really got to push above for this trend to get stronger from here. But if price breaks down and goes below the lower portion of this channel and breaks down, then this would just be a continuation of the previous regression trend, which obviously is still really strong. 0.93 to the downside, and it's only 0.60 to the upside. So the cross section of the downtrend against the uptrend is where I look for these reversals, but these tools really help me see it clearly.
All right, so guys, let's say I'm using TradersPost, I'm scaling across different accounts, and a thing like this where I'm like not sure if I want to stay in the trade, not sure if I need to adjust my stops and all that sort of thing. What do I have to think about in order to make sure that if I'm adjusting something, my signals are going to be adjusted as well, and everything's going to work properly at TradersPost?
I think the big thing is having, good control over the messages that you send to TradersPost. So as you saw me updating my charts here, I was also making sure that I'm sending the correct symbol, I'm buying the right quantity, I'm sending it to the right webhook URL. The real management of the signal comes down to making sure that your alerts are set up properly. And I'm using line alerts on the TradingView chart in order to send off these signals to TradersPost to then route those orders across all these accounts or copy trade them across all these Apex accounts. And I'm using the webhook URL for that Apex strategy, as I called it. So if you change something on the chart, it really doesn't have an impact on the TradersPost side of things unless you really are relying on an indicator or strategy or something like that, in which case you really need to make sure your chart is updated properly. So this is interesting. I see this pullback here and I'm starting to think we're on the wrong side. We need to wait for this S2 line and then maybe take the long from there. But this is more bearish than bullish. I'd actually rather go short, but I think
there's a bunch of stuff. The consumer expectation sentiment final read was.
Did that just come in?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but that's what it was.
Yeah. So I'm saying the 22.7, like the 22.7, 22.8 areas, like the only place I would be long here.
I'm thinking, 22.8 could be support here. Let's just see where how buyers respond to this line. But if we break below it, I think I'd be ready to go short.
Break below 22.8?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then the next level down is 22.5, 22.4. If we break below there, we're zipping down there real quick.
Yep. So we got an exit line prepared. We've got a sell line. We have a buy line. I'm ready to switch bias at any moment, but we would need to see a pretty clear signal. So as you can see here, what's also nice about the regression trend process that I just outlined is that we broke below that regression trend. We saw it weakening before this sell-off even happened. And in theory, this would have been a really good spot to start taking a short because it confirmed a rejection off the top of this down regression trend. And that would have been a really good entry. I've seen that quite a bit. We were still trying to prepare for the long. So sometimes you have to get your head right in terms of reacting quickly and changing your bias.
So if I wanted to not only close out my long position there, but go net short, would I change the quantity inside of the JSON message? Would I make any changes on the TradersPost side? Make sure I have side swapping on? Like, what do I have to do in order to make sure that I now flip to short on the one order?
Yeah, in my case, you don't have to do anything because I'm fully out of my position at the moment. You can see there's no movement on my chart there on the Apex side. I have no open position. So the only way I'm trading is not through side swapping or having to offset the number of contracts. Instead, I'm just saying, all right, I'm going to sell two, sell two, sell two, and then I'm going to send the exit signal, in which case TradersPost will look up my position for me and then buy or sell that number of contracts in order to flatten me down to zero. So fortunately, TradersPost manages all of that. It manages the position. All I have to do is send a sell signal with the quantity I want. I can add to that position, and then I can exit the whole thing at any point.
So Trevor, do we ever see anything like where people have the submit signal open up in TradersPost on one window? They use that to immediately get into a position, but they just use the chart to manage the exits?
Like manually, when you say use the chart, you mean like TradingView or their actual broker, like TradeBait or something?
No, like TradingView. So like me, as Mike is saying this, like I think to myself, I would have the TradersPost submit signal there open. I would be ready to enter a position quickly, and then I would just be having the exit signals come from my chart, and that's what I'd be moving around. I'm just wondering if anyone does it that way.
I don't do it that way, and only because the signals need to contain the live market price in order for us to calculate P&L properly, because Trade doesn't offer market data. It's one of the few brokers that doesn't offer market data. So as a result, look at that, guys. It's almost like a perfect wick on that S2 line.
I don't.
That's where buyers start to step in.
It says 1 year 4.5. Okay, so I guess it's like up 0.1%. 1 year inflation final actual 4.5, forecast 4.4, previous 4.4. 5 year inflation was, where'd it go? 3.4, forecast 3.6, previous 3.6. I feel like that's bullish. I feel like this, I don't know. Once again, I don't know anything, but when I pull out sort of those items.
Oh, I see what happened.
Maybe this is just a pulse down fake out.
There it is.
It seems bullish to me.
There it is.
Look at that.
This is just like that moment yesterday where I was just trying to get over the line, and we only needed $7.60.
All right, so this is where just my thinking when I do this sort of thing. If I were to enter a trade before I got to that, let's say in your case the S2 level, I would only enter the trade if I was okay with having my stop beyond that.
On the S2?
You stopped, yeah, like you entered you entered the long before we got to that level, but then the price pulled back to that level, then bounced up.
Right.
So if I ever get into a long before I get to the support level that I expect, I would only do that if my stop loss was beyond that support level.
I see.
But you exited the position beforehand, like way earlier, right? So I'm just thinking, what's your thinking behind that?
Yeah, so even in this case, I expected we could see a pullback because we're still in this downward trend, but we're hoping that S2 is where buyers are going to show up. So I'm probably going to average into this. Basically, I'll buy more if we come back and retest this range and stay with or print a higher low at that point. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
I'll average into my position here, assuming that this is the formation of the uptrend. But let me pull up the right tool for this. We're already starting to build a decent regression trend against the downtrend. I want to see this continue. So far it is. We should have our trade of 8 profit up here. Oh man, I'm like right on the line on 2 accounts. Those 2 at the top there that say 106, I've just passed.
Let's go.
So I want to see a breakout here, and I want to see it push to VWAP again. If it were to pull back, I would try to average in a little bit, but I'd have my stop loss right below that lowest wick.
So this is where on TrendSpider, we just showed it yesterday on the Blueprint stream.
Yeah,
they have the incorporating of the external data on the chart allows you to have the options chain information.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and
you got really excited about that, didn't you?
Absolutely, because to me, seeing even if you're not trading options, it's giving you an idea of what's pulling the price on the volatility surface in the future, and it's just super useful. So sometimes you'll see the price move in almost like the options is a leading indicator for the price, not only because the price needs to follow the options, right? The market makers have to hedge their positions based on what the option structure are doing. So there's forced buyers and sellers because of the option space. And this is where I would love to have that live options data on my chart updated for me to see what's going on, quote unquote, in the future.
Yeah, I think I've also wanted to pull some of that options data in just to get the expected move of the day too. The options market has a really good handle on what's going to happen intraday for the most part. And just getting the point expected move on the NASDAQ each morning is helpful to understand if it's going to be a big move day or just a really small, low volatility day. When Tasty Trade did their demonstration last Friday here in Denver, I watched Tom Sosnoff take a trade based on expected move. In many cases, they would size based on an expected move, which I found really interesting. And I thought I would start to adjust some of my strategies that way as well. Now that we have some of that options data available to us, on TradingView. It'd be interesting to cobble some of that together, but I will take a look at TrendSpider as well.
Yeah, I'm really eager to do just because we have the Black-Scholes model, we have the underlying, we have the history. We should be able to calculate all that.
Yep.
I gotta get that. You know what? I gotta get that online.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2 accounts are passed.
He can't be stopped, folks. Mike is on a
3
roll.
accounts are passed. We just need everything above 106.
Can you move the net liquidity over just a little bit so we can see the 106s?
Yeah. How's that?
Yeah, that's wonderful. Perfect.
Okay. And I only took 2 M&Q, by the way. This is not a huge trade. We're expecting price to move to a specific zone. We kind of want to see how it's going to respond to VWAP. I need to be really careful here because this is probably where I need to take profit.
So those 106 accounts, you have to close the position for that to count,
It's
right?
got to be realized profit, yes.
Okay. So do you immediately close the position on those accounts?
I mean, yeah, it's like, what's the point in going over, to be honest?
No, fair. But what I mean is, like, are you doing that individually? Like, where do you
No,
do that?
no. I'm gonna try to just keep going, let the trade play out. I don't care if it's over by very much, but I have other accounts I want to see if we can hit the goal on. The 4th account there is at 105,720. I would need another 250 in profit, so I'll just go ahead and take profits here, and we'll pass 3 accounts.
Did it?
So you wouldn't be in the TradersPost back and for a particular account, like disable it so that the other ones could keep going, but that account is closed. Like, can you close?
Like
just
people
those
that,
accounts?
Yeah, I see your point, and I guess I
People
could.
have asked about turning off specific accounts if you hit like a profit goal or something.
Yeah, so I can do that here. The way I would do it is I would go to my subscriptions for my Apex signal. I would choose the accounts I just passed and then hit the disable button here.
That's right.
And I can disable my subscription for those. So that way, if I send another signal, it only impacts the smaller accounts or the other
You have
accounts.
to close the position first in those accounts.
Yes. Otherwise, they'll just sit there and the next exit signal would be ignored. So you do want to make sure that you've closed out the positions and that you're done, basically. Well, cool. That was a nice little trade. And obviously our analysis played out there. I guess from here, the next crystal ball forecast that I made was that we would test VWAP and pull back again. Let's see if that happens.
I feel like the 2 times that I've interpreted data have been good. The first one was a short and this one was a long.
Right. When I see stuff like this, I don't know if you guys do this. So, like, I'll look at let's say I'm looking at gold right now, and I'm seeing it passed the VWAP for the week, and now this is the nearest daily VWAP it needs to get to, and so for it to get there, that means the gold has to move another 61 basis points. That means the dollar has to move another 61 basis points down, which means that I'm expecting a bullish move in the NASDAQ shortly. And so that's where I would be like, okay, now I could count on the long. Do you guys think in that way by the correlation between the assets, or does it not matter at all?
I used to.
Now he's a successful prop firm trader, and he could not be bothered.
He just trades what he sees, man. He doesn't.
I think that's very much true. I love the quantitative aspect of analyzing intermarket spreads, taking on larger position sizes across portfolios, hedging. The whole quantitative approach is very attractive to me, and I've spent a lot of time in that space. But none of it is relevant to this activity here, just trying to trade NQ on prop firm accounts. I think that is super helpful in constructing a portfolio and holding on to those positions, especially overnight. But I haven't found any firms, except for one, that allow you to hold futures contracts overnight. I just found out that Elite Trader Funding allows you to do overnights on one of their prop accounts, and they'll let you do weekends as well. And that suddenly is now going to change my perspective, because now we can start looking at things like the correlation between multiple markets. We can start looking at potentially spreads between those markets as well, and starting to pick up profit on a longer time frame, or basically taking swing trades. I need to look more closely into the rules to see if they let you go, long and short against correlated assets. Obviously, they're not going to let you short long and short the same instrument. I understand why that's prohibited. That totally makes sense. But being able to go like long gold and short NQ, those are obvious pairs trades that are interesting in the futures market.
So Trevor, when you're dealing with long dated options, is that like, does that put the whole macro long-term thing like out of mind? You're like, I already made my bet long-term. Now I can just focus on price action short-term, and I don't have to worry about that, because if there is a long-term move that's there, I'm going to capture that profit over time.
Sure. I mean, that's always the idea of leaps and, you know, long dated options. You obviously want to attempt to have a good entry at some, you know, with confirmation on like a daily chart or something. But yeah, I mean, the key is buying time and buying like not like deep in the money, but I don't do out of the money. I'll do in the money.
Oh,
So
really?
I mean, like yesterday I was talking to Stanzi and I was just like, you know, should I get I have some cash? Like, what should I get back in, you know, spot? Should I do like a SPY option yesterday? And I did not. But it was literally, that conversation was at that bounce, and it was kind of like, oh man, are we just going to fully recover today? And I was like, I'll FOMO back in. It always feels nice to, like, on some huge pullback or something, at least throw some money at long dated options. But you want to at least attempt to have a somewhat good entry, and then you can still worry about it, but at least you're like, hey, you know what, I tried. I didn't buy it when we were, you know, breaking all-time highs kind of thing. And I would never short, I mean, that's me, but I wouldn't be buying like 2 years out for like a short or something, because that could just
you're
go to
betting
zero.
against the financial system. Yeah, never do that. God.
Okay, so I just disabled all my subscriptions for those 3 past accounts. And for anybody who's interested, if you look at the dashboard here now, you can see that it says 0 out of 3, 0 out of 3, 0 out of 3 for those 106,000 accounts. And that tells you that the 3 subscriptions that I had attached to these accounts are disabled. And so that means that even if I send a signal through any of these other strategies, that it's going to be ignored on these accounts, so that these are safe and passed, and I can go through the process of getting these activated tonight. Well, would you look at that? Bounce off of S2, retesting VWAP.
That's right. More room for gold to go, dollar down. All these things are. This is, I mean, guys, if you're here, like and subscribe to this channel, because I'm telling you, it's not just the accountability of other traders that matters. It's the different viewpoints. It's so useful. I find it to be unbelievable useful to then be able to talk to Mike, and then he goes, hey, this is what I'm seeing, and he's considering things completely different. We're both using VWAP in completely different ways.
That's a really good point there, is to use the same tool but get completely different information from it.
Yeah,
but I guess that's kind of the point, right?
Like,
is that you've really got to look at markets the way that they work for you, that works for your strategy. We've talked a lot about that at TradersPost. Like, we very much support the independent trader. We want diversity of opinion, diversity of thought, diversity of signals and trades, diversity of risk management, because at the end of the day, everybody's got a slightly different view on markets. We're all taking trades in slightly different ways. And while there's always going to be concentration and congestion around clear areas on the chart, the way you hold your trade, the way you manage your risk, it's really kind of entirely up to you. So the data just needs to work for you consistently.
I thought that trading with you guys in the morning would make me paralyzed with indecision. You know what I mean? Like, one says yes, one says no, I'm not sure if I should get in or not. I'm finding it is completely different than that. It's actually
giving you more confidence?
Way more confidence, because I didn't realize I had the other voices in my head that's like talking against what I'm doing. And but it's always doing that. But when you guys are speaking and I'm looking at the chart, I don't have that self-doubt thing. That conversation not happening. It feels like I'm like on stage performing with other people, and it would feel the same way even if we weren't on stream. And in that way, I'm like trusting. I feel like if I said something that was too crazy, you'd be like, Tom, actually, you contradicted yourself 5 minutes ago. I'd be like, oh wait, I did contradict myself 5 minutes ago. Right, I should be more. It feels like improv. It feels like I'm working together with you guys. Whereas when I'm alone, all I have is the gremlin in the back of my head going, you need more money. You should have been made more money. You should do more trades. Like,
No, we can't have that.
such an interesting feeling. Like the
Be
trading with a
responsible.
group thing is super useful.
All right, shall we do one more?
Are you going to short here?
If it closes below VWAP, that was the whole objective here. We kind of had a feeling on where we thought price would go. We bounced off of S2 perfectly. We pulled off the remainder of this downtrend from the open. We knew it was going to bounce up and retest VWAP here, but if we don't see continuation off of VWAP up to the upside, it could reverse from here. I mean, I'm ready to go either direction, but I've disabled the strategy on those 3 winning Apex accounts that I just passed. You can see 3, 4 more, but there's 20 in here total that we can continue to try to cross the goal on. I have, let's see, 105.699, 105.4, 105.2, 105.1. You know, if I get $800 in profit, I can pass 3 more accounts here.
Well, I would only be going long. It's just that long here is, I would only be going long.
You'd be going long here?
Yeah, I could not go short. Not with the dollar falling. I just couldn't do that.
It's a fair observation. Let's try it. Okay, so you can see right off the bat, because I disabled my subscriptions for those top 3 Apex accounts, there's no movement on the P&L there.
Right. So I noticed that we think about wicks in different ways. Maybe if I'm wrong here. Me, I would immediately be going to a higher time frame to see how big the wick is from this bounce.
And I usually do. It's been a minute since I looked over here, but I kind of knew what this chart looked like. I knew we'd most likely passed above the EMA that I want to pay attention to, which is usually a good sign that we'll mean revert against the moving average here. So I'm expecting a move to roughly 23,061 or greater, which, you know, is going to be pretty close to where the electronic VWAP was overnight. It doesn't quite come anywhere close to closing our gap yet, but we can at least make a little money to the upside here. Just remember, though, I've seen this happen 100,000 times at this point. We could still break down and push to the downside again.
Yeah, because we didn't actually get to, well, we didn't get to my support level on the downside.
So I'm only going to risk about 100, maybe 150 bucks on this trade.
That's right.
And then I might immediately turn around and put the short on.
Yeah, this is not like yesterday's YOLO direction. It's
That's
not
right.
clear. All right, so when I trade, I'll have the 4 different assets that I'm taking a look at, and I'm looking for the structure to match everywhere. So like if there's enough room for the dollar, for gold to move up here, and there's enough room for the Bitcoin to fall, and there's enough room for, like, that's where I'll take a trade. I need everything to sort of coordinate together for me to actually go into a given direction. Do you guys do a thing like this where you're looking at multiple assets before, like at the same time before taking the trade?
Sometimes. If it's slow, I might switch between gold and oil and NASDAQ. But it's infrequent. If it's feeling like it's pretty volatile, I can really only focus on one thing at a time.
I'll look at different time frames for sure.
I mean, I'm always on different time frames. You guys know I just keep switching between the charts here. I can already see that's a very solid sign of support off of that S2 line on the 2-hour chart. The candle's starting to move back up to where we were at S1. So it's looking more bullish now, which is good. And yet, on the 1-minute chart here, we're starting to break down. We need to see if we can stay above VWAP here.
This is the part I like. This exact part is where I like. Where you're looking at that and I go, I could not be more biased towards the bullish side. And you're like, it could go either way. And I go, no, the dollar is falling. We're going to go up.
This is great. Let's add to it. I like that candle right there.
And like, if you take a look at gold over here, like it just bounced off a weekly level. don't know if you guys can see it here. It went, it bounced above, it confirmed and moved up. That means people are buying gold, and in order to buy gold, like I guess people don't necessarily understand the dollar moves. If the dollar's selling off, I mean, people are selling the dollar to buy another asset. And if you see that other asset that they're buying are equities or gold or whatever, then you know there's a rotation trade happening with large money, because it's not retail traders that are doing these big moves. So I go, well, that's the side of the boat I want to be on. If the commercials are moving, let me just go, let me be a barnacle on that shark and move up.
Get on the bus, get off the bus.
Exactly.
All right. Looks like we might be able to pass one more account here, maybe two. Trevor, my eyes going bad, or did you go very blurry?
Yeah, it went blurry.
Oh, did that yesterday.
He's good. Yeah. All right, so let's say this does rocket up, right? Okay. The top, the level at the top here for NASDAQ would be 2,300, like what we were talking about before. Would you take profits at 2,300, or would you be like, I'm going to count on a V? Completely recovered?
Well, no, because I can't count on Vs. I want to, but they just haven't played out for me. I would be looking to take profits, assuming a lower high is going to post here. I think we still have room for this trade, but I'm likely going to take profits at around 23.022 here, because I expect that if we're going to see a continuation of this downtrend, that we would need to print a lower high first.
Is that a prop firm decision, or even if you're trading?
I want to keep my risk and my profits pretty tight. In this case, our risk is really low. We're going to risk 100 and something bucks for the upside of potentially making 300 on this trade.
But if you were trading your own money, would you do the same thing?
No, because we'd go back to that conversation of looking at things more quantitatively, holding longer, doing spreads. I'd have options on futures. I'd be holding a much longer portfolio and holding positions for longer periods of time too. For the most part, in the past, when I traded futures, I was in positions for 3 to 6 weeks at a minimum.
That's right.
Holding M&Q, I'd hold 4 or 5 in M&Q contracts for 4 to 6 weeks.
That's right. So I'm just surprised about this shift in mentality to the short-term time frame. Like, for a year now, we've been talking about just the way that you go about analyzing things, and I've never seen you with this sort of mentality for the short time frame. But you switched to it like a duck in water.
I like games. It's like chess or poker. They're very different games. You got to come at it with a very different mindset.
All right. More questions on the next trading bot sessions. I have a million questions.
When I was doing more swings with futures, I would have loved to have prop to. We've talked about this before. To feel like you have some sort of, if you're stuck in a long and it's going to play out, but you're just sitting on your hands all day.
Yeah.
Underwater, it would have been nice to go, all right, let me just hedge myself through prop on the short side.
Right. Tom, one thing that I will say about prop trading and the change I've made in risk management to play this game effectively, and I'll call it a game, but let's just say I made a shift from being more of a trader to being more of a risk manager. We've talked about that concept before too. And I think a big part of intraday trading for me in the past, when I've gone on tilt and lost money and lost a lot of money doing this, I have realized how emotional I get in those moments and the impact it had on me psychologically. I've finally gotten to that point now where I'm not as impacted emotionally by getting in and out of trades as I used to be. I found a number of mantras and a number of ways to look at risk that have really helped me get out of that thinking. So in the past, I really avoided intraday trading because of the emotional impact. I was much more comfortable holding positions for long periods of time because it allowed me to sleep at night. I knew where the risk was low, that ultimately the swing would favor in my direction, and I could walk away and not look at the charts. There was a period of time there where like looking at charts was stressful for me.
That's
And
right.
now it's comfortable. I feel at ease. I'm very calm looking at the charts. It doesn't bother me if a trade goes against me, anything like that. Those emotions have dissipated, and I feel like that's a big part of the shift on why it seems like I went away from that older thinking, because now I'm suddenly just as comfortable doing this as I was holding long-term portfolios.
Right. Great point. Me, the two things I think about all the time is, one, there's always another trade. God, I just build that into my head. There's always another trade. And two is choose your pain. But the market is about
choose your pain. Yeah. You're going to get some pain somewhere.
That's right. Too early, too late, not in, can't get out. Or you brought up another 4 from the book that you read. I can't remember what it was. There was 4 other categories of difficulties within the market. Shoot, you quote it often. What were the 4? It came from a book that you read that was like, I think, The Biggest Loser, the best loser.
Yeah, The Biggest Loser wins.
Biggest loser.
Best loser wins.
Some sort of thing. Anyways,
it was. You're gonna put me on the spot here while I'm trying to trade this.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, you're in the money, right? So.
Well, one of them is leaving money on the table.
There it is.
The fear of missing out is another. Losing money, and I can't remember what the 4th one was, but certainly for me, FOMO used to be a driver, and that's a fear that I definitely avoid. There will always be another trade, and there will always be a setup that I'm familiar with. And if it's not the setup I'm familiar with, I'm not trying to get in.
Right. So here for the option space, well, I'm going to talk to Trevor because I don't want to distract Mike here.
NQ's back at 23,000, by the way.
I see it. We're right on the line. I'm probably going to have to take profits here. I'm going to move my line up, but I'm like $40 away from passing another account. I just need one little push, one little more push.
God, if I had a magic wand to give 5 points on NQ, I'd be a millionaire. I'm always just like just one little, and then it doesn't hit it, and then I die.
There it is. All right, it's 106.022. So we passed 4 accounts now.
Congratulations! Quiet clap. Quiet clap.
Yay! I get the privilege of buying and activating an eval.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I mean, though. Like the part of the frustration a little bit for me in trades like this is it's all virtual profit that I don't get to access now. That's 6,000 in 4 accounts that no one gets to touch.
That's real.
Wait, but the feeling of being right to me is worth way more than any money.
I feel the feeling of getting a payout. That's what I'm after. Yeah, I want to get paid doing this work.
Well, because I've gotten made great trades by accident, and I did not feel good at all.
Yeah,
I see what you mean. Yeah, like I flubbed. I accidentally instead of M and Q, I went to NQ, and I made $6,000 on that trade when I meant to make 600.
That's right. Like that to me feels terrible. So to me, the money at the end is not nearly as good as I can monetize my knowledge and skill. Like I can do this. That to me feels so good.
Yep, agreed.
Following your plan.
All right. Well, I feel pretty good about this today. I'm going to disable one more strategy now. We'll have to look for, just to quickly show people my method for this. I'll go into the dashboard and find the 40 account that's now at 106.022. And there's 3 strategies, or excuse me, subscriptions that are tied to this. I just open all 3 in a new window and then disable them one at a time. And that makes it to where even if I did want to go ahead and take a few more trades on my Apex lines here, it's not going to trade any of the ones that I just won, putting any of those at risk. It'll just trade the ones that I'm now up $1,400 across these accounts. Fantastic. Let's move this over so you guys can see my overall profit for most of these accounts today.
Beautiful. Look at that green.
Looking good. That is the power of copy trading on TradersPost.
And my malfunction is that if that was all red, I'd also feel great.
Feel alive.
I feel alive, exactly.
Cool.
And just to finish off on what I would be doing here, like one of the reasons I'll look at the other assets is that, for example, here for Bitcoin, it's in this range. So because it came down here and now it moved up to the top of the range, I go, okay, now is where I would take profit in NASDAQ because we're probably going to be range bound for a bit. Like that's the way that I'm thinking about it. So to me, I need to see the whole constellation of thing. I'm going to go, okay, I should get out here. Even though I think we could absolutely V up, right? So what'll happen in the option space, if we were taking a look at the options chains, is that we might see that there might be a gamma pin somewhere further up. And that what's happening is that as the price is moving up, people are getting their positions have to close out, their short positions have to close out, which causes the calls that people purchase to go even more in the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on how the structure is, the market makers who sold those calls have to hedge the position by buying more of the asset.
Buying more or selling more of the underlying. Yep.
Right. Which is why you get these V up, which only happens really in equities. It doesn't really happen in the crypto space or other because the options market is not as mature.
And I feel like a lot of that market structure shows up in these trends. You know, this to me is an irrational move in markets. There wasn't anything that fundamentally changed all that much in this short period of time, but we get this incredible V shape that allows us to profit from these trends in this short period of time with leverage.
All right, well, expect sideways, I imagine, for the next little while.
Possibly.
No big trades
We're
to
up
take.
against that line we mentioned. If we see a pullback from here, then we called it again. We print a lower high, and we push down below VWAP again, and we close lower for the day, which would be unfortunate for anybody holding a retirement portfolio right now because we're down 1.5% on the day.
Mm.
And tariffs once again strike on the American economy.
But we're paying off the debt, man.
That's what it
So
is, huh?
Here's where I would, like, if I was trading my own capital, I would take part of the profit that I made for the day, put on an option. Here I would put a put.
Yeah.
Actually, I would might even do put and a call, depending on what the IV is, and then I would just walk away going, if there's a big move that happens, I paid the fee for my FOMO trade,
Right.
and I could walk away making the options trade. That's what I would do at the end of a day like this.
Right.
IV's pretty high on SPX anyway.
For both sides, the call and put?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then it's not worth it.
Well, we're up overall, still moving towards lots of goals here on many of these accounts. Even on my funded account that I just took a payout on, we added another $1,800, and we're going to start the consistency goal over again on this account. So this will probably end up having to be my best day, and then I'll try to keep my profits below 1,800 from here on out.
Awesome. So you guys want to wrap it up here?
This is it. Yeah, this is a great day. I can't get any, I don't really want to go after anymore because this is when I start probably going on tilt. So I'll come back. We'll come back Tuesday. We'll take Monday off and show you guys what else we can do from here. Maybe we can pass the rest of these Apex accounts.
Awesome. Perfect. So we'll leave it there for Friday. We'll be back next Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern time in order to trade the markets. Because as Trevor was saying, friends, don't let friends trade drunk.
That's true. Drunk on many things. Drunk on pride, drunk on passing evals.
Passing evals.
All right. Ciao, folks.
Cheers, everyone.